The termination letter was still warm in Maya Chen's hand when her phone rang with a number that didn't exist. 34 years old, top of her residency class, 8 years saving lives in Chicago's bloodiest ER. None of it mattered anymore. They'd fired her for being too good, for knowing things she shouldn't know, for having hands that moved like they'd held scalpels in places hospital boards pretended didn't exist. She was walking home through a blizzard, her white coat left on a hook she'd never touch again, when the voice on the phone said 6 words that changed everything. "Dr. Chen, we need ghost protocol." Before we begin, if you're watching from anywhere in the world, subscribe to this channel and comment below with your city name. I want to see how far Maya's story travels. Stay until the very end, because what happens next will leave you speechless. The glass doors of Chicago Memorial Hospital didn't make a sound when they closed behind Maya Chen for the last time. They never did. Whisper quiet hydraulics, the kind that costs more than most people's cars, designed to make everything seem peaceful even when the world inside was drowning in blood. Maya stood under the ambulance bay overhang, snow already collecting on her shoulders. She wasn't wearing a coat, wasn't wearing her white coat anymore either. That was hanging on a hook in the physician's lounge, the name tag still pinned to the breast pocket. Dr. Maya Chen, Emergency Medicine. Past tense now. Her phone vibrated. She ignored it. Probably her mother, calling to ask when she was coming to dinner, completely unaware her daughter's career had just been executed in a windowless conference room by people who'd never touched a patient in their lives. The termination letter felt thin in her hand. 1 page, 8 years of her life reduced to 1 page of legal language that boiled down to, "You saved a life we weren't ready for you to save." Dr. Chen, she turned. Sarah Kim stood in the doorway, coat buttoned to her chin, her 72 years showing in every line around her eyes. The head nurse had worked at Memorial since before Maya was born, had seen every kind of doctor come through those doors. "Don't," Maya said. "Please don't tell me it'll be okay." "I wasn't going to." Sarah stepped out into the snow. "I was going to tell you they're cowards. They're administrators. It's their job to be afraid of lawsuits. It's their job to back their physicians when they save a 17-year-old kid from bleeding out on a table." Sarah's voice carried the same steel Maya had heard when the older woman talked down aggressive patients twice her size. "What you did in there today was unauthorized, experimental, not approved by the board." Maya's laugh came out bitter. "I can quote the letter. They were very thorough." Sarah moved closer, lowering her voice. "Where did you learn that technique?" The question landed like a slap. Maya's jaw tightened. "Doesn't matter now. The finger thoracostomy, the cardiac window, those aren't things you pick up in residency. I read a lot. You operated on that boy like you'd done it 100 times before. In the field, under fire." Sarah's eyes narrowed. "The patch in your locker. The black bird. I've seen that patch before." Maya's phone buzzed again. Different pattern this time. 3 short pulses. Pause. 3 more. Her heart rate spiked before her brain caught up. That pattern didn't come from normal numbers. "I have to go," she said. "Maya, thank you, Sarah, for everything." She walked away before the older woman could ask more questions. The snow swallowed her footsteps, the wind cutting through her scrubs like they were made of paper. Chicago in January was brutal, but she barely felt it. Her whole body was numb in a way that had nothing to do with temperature. Her phone buzzed the pattern again. 3 pause, 3. The emergency callback signal she hadn't heard in 6 years. She pulled the phone out with shaking hands. Unknown number, encrypted call notification blinking on the screen. Maya stopped walking. Around her, the city moved like nothing had changed. Cars splashing through slush. People hunched against the wind. Somewhere a bus groaned to a stop, its brakes squealing. She answered. Didn't say anything, just listened. Dr. Maya Chen. The voice was male, 50s, controlled. "This is Commander James Harrison, Joint Special Operations Command. Do you copy? Her throat closed. 6 years. 6 years since she'd heard those words. How did you get this number? Her voice came out steadier than she felt. We never lost your number, doctor. We need you. I'm not active duty, haven't been for 6 years. We're aware. We're also aware you were terminated from Chicago Memorial approximately 43 minutes ago. Maya's stomach dropped. How? We monitor high-value assets. You're still classified as one. Harrison's tone shifted, became more urgent. I'll be direct. We have a situation. Black Hawk crash, Lake Michigan, 8 Navy SEALs in the water. Rescue team is en route, but their medic took shrapnel to the chest. He's alive but can't operate. The SEALs have been in 34-degree water for 17 minutes. They're hypothermic, multiple trauma injuries, and standard protocols give them less than 20% survival rate. Call the Coast Guard. Call. We need someone who can operate in impossible conditions. Someone who's done it before. Someone who knows ghost protocol. The wind stopped. The traffic stopped. Everything stopped except Maya's heartbeat hammering against her ribs. Ghost protocol was discontinued, she said carefully. The techniques weren't, and there are 8 men dying who need someone with your specific skill set. We have 2 Black Hawks en route to your location. ETA 4 minutes. Maya looked up. The sky was solid white with snow. You can't land helicopters in the middle of Chicago. We're not asking permission. We're asking if you're still the doctor who doesn't let people die because bureaucrats are afraid. Pause. Are you? Her hands weren't shaking anymore. That was interesting. They'd shaken when she walked out of the termination meeting, shook when Sarah asked about the patch. But now with a commander she'd never met asking her to do the impossible, they were steady. Where's the extraction point? Stay on the line, look north. Maya turned. At first she saw nothing but snow and the dark shapes of buildings. Then the sound reached her, a low thrum that built into a roar. 2 black shapes materialized out of the storm, flying low enough that she could see the rotor wash kicking up snow from rooftops. People on the street stopped, pointed, pulled out phones. The helicopters banked, circling like massive predatory birds. Then one broke formation and descended toward the empty parking lot 2 blocks ahead. Jesus Christ, Maya breathed. We'll handle the FAA complaints later. Are you coming? She should say no. Should turn around, go home, call a lawyer, start looking for a new job at a hospital that wouldn't fire her for being too competent. But 8 men were dying in freezing water, and her hands knew exactly what to do about that. I need my medical kit. It's in my car. What kind of car? Silver Honda Civic, 3 blocks west in the employee garage. We'll have it brought to the LZ. Move now, doctor. The line went dead. Maya ran. Her sneakers slipped on ice, caught, kept moving. People scattered as she sprinted past, their faces blurred by speed and snow. Her lungs burned in the cold air, but her legs remembered this pace. Remembered running to helicopters while mortars fell. Remembered the weight of gear and the knowledge that someone was dying, and her speed meant the difference between a body bag and a second chance. The helicopter had landed in the middle of a shopping center parking lot, its rotors still spinning, snow spiraling in violent circles around it. 2 figures in tactical gear jumped out, securing a perimeter. Maya didn't slow down. One of them stepped forward, hand raised. Dr. Chen? That's me. Lieutenant Marcus Webb, SEAL Team 5. Your kit's already loaded. We need to move. He was young, mid-20s maybe, with the kind of face that still believed in invincibility. That would change soon. It always did. What's the casualty count? She asked, already moving toward the helicopter. 8 SEALs, varying degrees of hypothermia. Pilots dead. Co-pilot critical with head trauma. 1 confirmed ruptured spleen. 1 suspected crush syndrome. 3 with blast injuries. All with emergent hypothermia. Water temp is 34 degrees. They've been in 17 minutes and counting. Maya's brain shifted into combat mode, the part of her that never really left the field. Survivability window for severe hypothermia is roughly 30 to 45 minutes in those conditions. What's your ETA to site? 12 minutes. That puts us at 29 minutes total immersion time. We'll be working right at the edge. Webb's jaw tightened. These are my brothers, ma'am. Then let's make sure they stay your brothers and don't become your memories. She climbed into the helicopter. The interior as she remembered, red lights, jump seats, the smell of fuel and metal and controlled fear. A crew chief handed her a helmet and flight suit. 60 seconds to wheels up, he shouted over the rotor noise. Maya stripped off her scrub top without hesitation, pulling on the flight suit. Around her, the team didn't react. They'd seen combat medics change clothes before. Bodies were tools in this world, not scandals. Her phone buzzed one more time as the helicopter lifted off. She pulled it out, saw her mother's name, and declined the call. There would be time for explanations later. Or there wouldn't. Either way, 8 men couldn't wait for her to have a comfortable conversation. The city dropped away beneath them, lights becoming a grid, then a blur, then gone as they flew out over the black expanse of Lake Michigan. Webb leaned close, his voice crackling through the helmet comm. Commander Harrison said you were Ghost Protocol. That means you were Delta Force Medical. Was is the right word. Why'd you leave? Maya watched the darkness outside. Because I saved someone I was ordered to let die. Turns out the military doesn't like that any more than hospitals do. What happened? I'm still breathing and so is he. That's what happened. The comm went quiet for a moment. Then Webb said, the guy with the ruptured spleen? That's David Torres. He's got a wife and 2 kids, 3 years old and 6 months. I don't need to know that. Yeah, you do, because when it gets impossible out there, when you're making decisions about who lives and who doesn't, you need to know they're not just casualties. They're fathers, brothers. They're people who matter to someone. Maya turned to look at him. His face was hard, but his eyes gave him away. Fear, raw and honest. How old are you, Lieutenant? 26. How many combat deployments? 4. How many friends have you lost? His throat worked. 12. Then you know that knowing their names doesn't make it easier. It makes it harder. And harder isn't helpful when I've got my hands inside someone's chest cavity, trying to stop them from bleeding out. Webb's face tightened. You're wrong. About what? Harder is exactly what you need, because easy means you don't care. And if you don't care, your hands shake. And if your hands shake, my brothers die. The kid was smarter than he looked. Maya pulled her medical kit onto her lap, checking contents by touch more than sight. Scalpels, chest tubes, coagulants, the hardware of keeping people alive when everything said they should die. Tell me about Torres, she said quietly. Webb's expression shifted. He's from Texas, grew up on a ranch, joined the Navy to piss off his father who wanted him to be a cowboy. Met his wife at a bar in Virginia Beach. She kicked his ass at pool and he fell in love on the spot. He carries pictures of his kids in a waterproof case in his vest pocket. Never shuts up about them. The 6-month-old, boy or girl? Girl, Elena. He hasn't met her yet. Deployed 3 weeks after she was born. Maya's hands stilled on the medical kit. Then we're going to make damn sure he does. The helicopter banked hard. Through the window, she could see the crash site, a circle of lights on the black water, rescue boats forming a perimeter, and in the center, the broken shape of a Black Hawk half submerged, its rotors twisted like broken fingers. The crew chief's voice crackled in her helmet. 2 minutes to sight. Water temp is 34 degrees. Wind chill factor puts it at feels like 20. You'll have hypothermia symptoms yourself in under 10 minutes. Understood. Maya was already stripping down to the thermal underlayer of the flight suit. What's my workspace? We're winching you down to the crash bird. Hull's unstable, but the cargo bay is partially above water. That's your operating theater. Lighting? Headlamps and portable floods, it'll be dim. I've worked in darker. The helicopter descended, its spotlight cutting through the snow to illuminate the nightmare below. The crashed Black Hawk was canted at a 40-degree angle, waves washing over its fuselage. Figures clung to the wreckage, the seals barely moving, ice already forming on their gear. Maya's combat brain cataloged everything in seconds. 8 patients, varying levels of consciousness, hypothermia across the board, at least 2 critical injuries visible from here. One man's leg bent at an impossible angle, another's face covered in blood. The crew chief appeared at her side with a harness. "You've done this before?" "Not in 6 years. It's like riding a bike, except the bike is a dying helicopter and the road is freezing water." "Exactly like that." He clipped her into the harness, double-checking every connection. "Doc, those men down there, they're counting on you to be brilliant." Maya met his eyes. "I'm counting on you not to drop me." "Deal." The side door slid open and the wind hit her like a physical force. Snow and spray and cold that went straight to the bone. The crew chief positioned her at the door, the winch cable humming as it took her weight. Webb appeared at her other side. "I'm coming with you." "You don't have medical training." "No, but I have hands that follow orders. And if you need someone to hold a man down while you cut him open, I'm your guy." There wasn't time to argue. Maya nodded. They stepped out into nothing. The descent was controlled chaos. Wind buffeted them sideways. The rotor wash from the hovering helicopter sent spray in every direction. Below, the crashed Black Hawk grew larger, its broken hull tilting with each wave. Maya's boots hit the cargo bay floor, and she immediately unclipped, not waiting for Webb. The interior was a disaster. Medical supplies floating in ankle-deep water, seats torn from their mounts, blood mixing with lake water in patterns she refused to think about. A man in flight gear grabbed her arm. "Thank God, I'm Lieutenant Reese, rescue team leader. We've got 8 critical and they're fading fast." Triage assessment, fastest to slowest. Reese pointed. Torres, ruptured spleen, abdomen rigid, BP dropping. Martinez, crush syndrome, both legs pinned until 3 minutes ago, showing signs of hyperkalemia. Johnson, chest trauma, suspected cardiac tamponade. Wilson and Reed, blast injuries with hypothermia. Parker, head trauma with decreased consciousness. Henderson and Cole, hypothermia and minor injuries, but deteriorating fast. 8 names, 8 lives, and maybe 30 minutes before the cold killed all of them, regardless of what she did. Maya closed her eyes for 1 second. In that second, she let herself feel the impossibility of it, the weight, the fear. Then she opened them and got to work. "Webb, get me Torres, now." They dragged the man to the flattest section of the tilting deck. He was conscious, barely, his face gray with shock and cold. His hands clutched his abdomen, and even through the gear, Maya could see the distension. "David Torres?" she said loud and clear. His eyes found her. "Yeah. I'm Dr. Chen. I'm going to fix you. But I need you to stay conscious and keep talking to me. Can you do that?" "Kids," he mumbled. "Elena. You're going to meet her, I promise. But right now I need you to tell me your pain level, 1 to 10. 15. Good. Specific. That's what I need." She was already cutting through his gear, exposing his abdomen. The bruising was massive, spreading across his entire left side. Internal bleeding, severe. He needed a hospital, needed an OR, needed things she didn't have. But she had hands, and knowledge, and the absolute refusal to let a man die without meeting his infant daughter. "Reese, get me warm saline. Webb, hold his shoulders. Torres, this is going to hurt worse than anything you've ever felt. I won't lie to you. Just do it." Maya pulled on gloves, grabbed a scalpel, and made the first cut. Torres screamed, and somewhere in the darkness, the real fight for their lives began. Torres screamed until his voice broke. Maya didn't stop cutting. The scalpel moved through muscle and fascia with the precision of someone who'd done this in conditions far worse than a tilting helicopter in freezing water. Blood welled up, dark and fast, mixing with lake water that sloshed around her knees. "Suction," she snapped. Webb stared at her. "We don't have—" "Then use your hands, cup them, scoop the blood out, now." He moved without hesitation, his hands diving into Torres's open abdomen. The SEAL's back arched off the deck, his scream turning into a choking gasp. "Stay with me, David," Maya said, her voice cutting through his pain. "Tell me about Elena. What does she look like?" "Can't breathe." "Yes, you can. You're breathing right now." "What color are her eyes?" "Brown, like her mother." "Good. Keep talking." "Webb, deeper. The bleeder's posterior. Feel for the spleen." Webb's face had gone white, but his hands obeyed. "I feel something. Jesus, it's torn." "That's the splenic artery. I need to clamp it, but I don't have a clamp." "Hold pressure. Right there. Don't move." She worked fast, her fingers finding the tear by touch more than sight. The headlamp beam bounced with each wave that hit the wreckage, shadows jumping across the wound. This was impossible. No sterile field, no proper instruments, no anesthesia beyond Torres's fading consciousness. But impossible was a word for people who had choices. Maya packed the wound with gauze, her movements economical. "Torres, I'm going to do something called damage control. I'm not fixing you. I'm buying you time to get to a real hospital. Understand?" He nodded weakly. His lips were blue. "Webb, keep pressure for 30 seconds. Then we move to Martinez," his clocks ticking louder. "Ma'am, Torres is still stabilized enough. Martinez has crush syndrome. If we don't treat him in the next 5 minutes, the toxins from his crushed tissue will stop his heart. Triage isn't about who's hurt worst. It's about who dies fastest." Webb's jaw clenched, but he nodded. Behind them, Reese was working on Johnson, the SEAL with chest trauma. The man's breathing was shallow, rapid, wrong. Maya counted down. 20 seconds. "Torres, you still with me?" "Yeah." His voice was barely a whisper. "Your daughter, does she have hair yet?" "Little. Dark." "Like her daddy?" "Like her mama, thank God." Maya almost smiled. 15 seconds. After this, Webb's going to wrap you and get you warm. You're going to feel like hell, but you're going to live. That's non-negotiable." "Yes, ma'am." She finished the pack, her hands moving in patterns she'd learned in a desert, half a world away. When she'd been younger, when she'd believed saving lives would be enough to make the nightmares worth it. "Time. Webb, wrap him. Thermal blankets. Get his core temp up even 1 degree." She moved to Martinez before Webb could respond. The SEAL was conscious, his face twisted in agony that went beyond normal pain. Both legs were free now, but the damage was catastrophic. Muscle tissue crushed, blood vessels compromised, and worst of all, the chemical bomb waiting to detonate in his bloodstream. "Martinez," Maya said, checking his pulse. "Fast. Too fast. I'm Dr. Chen. Tell me your pain level." "Doesn't matter." His teeth were chattering so hard he could barely speak. "Legs are gone anyway." "Wrong answer. Pain level." 20, 30. "I don't—" "Your legs aren't gone, but they're angry and they're about to poison the rest of you. I need to start aggressive fluid resuscitation. You understand what that means? Flood my system, dilute the toxins." "Smart man. This'll hurt, but not like what you've already been through." She grabbed an IV kit from her bag, her fingers already numb from the cold. The veins should have been impossible to find in his hypothermic, vasoconstricted arm. But her hands remembered. Muscle memory from 100 field insertions in worse conditions. The IV slid home on the first try. "Reese," she called over her shoulder. "Johnson's status." "Breathing's getting worse. I think there's fluid in his chest." "Cardiac tamponade. He needs a pericardial window." She hung the first bag of fluid for Martinez. "I'll get to him in 3 minutes. Can you keep him breathing that long? I'll try. Don't try, do it. Talk to him, keep him conscious. Fear keeps people breathing. She turned back to Martinez, starting the second IV line. His body needed fluids, gallons of them, to flush the myoglobin and potassium from his crushed muscles before they stopped his heart. But fluids meant weight and cold and the risk of flooding his lungs. Everything was a choice between bad and worse. Martinez, you married? Engaged. His voice was fading. Weddings in June. Then you better not die because I'm not explaining to your fiancé why you missed your own wedding. She'd kill me anyway. What's her name? Rebecca. Becca. Tell me about her. She's too good for me. His eyes were closing. Kindergarten teacher. Hates that I'm a SEAL. Cries every time I deploy. Maya adjusted the drip rate. She know you're in the water right now? God, I hope not. Well, when you see her, and you will see her, you tell her Dr. Maya Chen said you're the toughest son of a bitch she's ever worked on. Got it? Got it. His heart monitor started alarming. The rhythm was breaking up, potassium levels spiking. Damn it. Maya grabbed calcium gluconate from her kit. Martinez, this is going to feel weird. Your heart's about to get very confused. She pushed the medication fast. His body jerked. The monitor screeched. For 3 seconds, that lasted forever, his heart stopped entirely. Then it kicked back, irregular but beating. Webb appeared at her side, his hands still bloody from Torres. What do you need? Get me to Johnson, now, and bring my thoracotomy kit. They moved across the tilting deck. Johnson was worse than she'd thought. His chest barely moved. His lips were purple, and when she put her hand on his sternum, she could feel the fluid accumulation. His heart was drowning in its own sac. Johnson, I'm Maya. You hear me? His eyes fluttered. Hurts. I know. I'm going to fix it, but I need you to hold very still. Can you do that? Can't breathe. You will. In about 60 seconds, you'll breathe better than you have in the last hour. She looked at Webb. Hold his arms, not gentle. He can't move even a millimeter. She prepped the site below his sternum, her hands working from memory. The pericardial window was a procedure she'd done exactly 4 times in her life. All of them in Afghanistan. All of them successful. But never on a moving platform in sub-freezing temperatures with no backup. The scalpel cut through skin. Johnson gasped. Easy, Maya murmured. Almost there. She went deeper, feeling for the pericardium. There. The membrane was tense, bulging with fluid. One wrong move and she'd puncture his heart. One right move and she'd save his life. Her hand didn't shake. The blade pierced the sac and fluid gushed out, dark and viscous. Johnson's next breath was deep, real, desperate. There you go, Maya said softly. Welcome back. Behind her, someone was shouting. She turned to see Reese waving frantically. Doc, we got a problem. The hull's taking on water. We're sinking faster. Maya's brain recalculated instantly. 8 patients, 6 critical, maybe 10 minutes before the cargo bay flooded completely. How long until we can evac them? The other bird's ready, but we can't winch them up without stabilizing their spines. 3 of them have potential C-spine injuries. Then we stabilize fast. Webb, get me cervical collars, all of them. Reese, I need a triage order for evac. You're the doctor. Torres first. He's the most stable, and we can move him fastest. Then Martinez. His fluids can run during transport. Johnson needs to stay flat, but he's breathing now. Parker's head trauma makes him next. The rest can go together. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She ignored it. It buzzed again and again. Answer it, Webb said. Might be command with updates. Maya pulled out the phone with bloody gloves. Unknown number. She answered on speaker. Dr. Chen. It was Bradford's voice, and he sounded furious. Where the hell are you? The entire rescue team went quiet. I'm busy, Maya said flatly. You left Chicago without authorization. You took a military helicopter without clearance. I've contacted the FAA, the hospital board, and I'm pressing charges for theft of medical supplies. That kit you took belongs to Chicago Memorial. Maya laughed. Actually laughed. The sound echoed across the water. You're worried about a medical kit while I'm trying to save 8 Navy SEALs? You're not authorized to practice medicine. You were terminated. Any procedures you perform make you liable for... Liable for what, Bradford? Saving lives? Yeah, that's exactly what got me fired in the first place. You're going to prison for this. Then I'll go to prison. But these men are going home to their families. She looked at Torres, at Martinez, at Johnson, breathing easier now. And you know what the difference is between you and me? I can sleep at night. She hung up. Webb stared at her. He's really going to press charges? Probably. Doesn't matter. We've got 6 minutes before this bird goes under. Move. They worked like a machine. Cervical collars snapped into place. Patients were packaged for transport. The winch cable descended from the hovering Black Hawk above, and one by one, the SEALs rose into the air. Torres went first, unconscious but stable. Martinez followed, his IV bags taped to his chest. Johnson was third, breathing on his own now. Maya was wrapping Parker's head wound when the deck shifted violently. The helicopter rolled another 15 degrees. Water rushed in, now waist-deep and rising. We're out of time, Reese shouted. Everyone up, now! Parker's not stable enough. Doctor, if we don't go right now, we all drown. Maya looked at the remaining 4 SEALs. Parker with his head trauma, Henderson with hypothermia, Cole with blast injuries. Wilson, who hadn't regained consciousness since the crash. 4 men, 1 winch, maybe 2 minutes. Double up, she said. Strap them together. We take them 2 at a time. That's not protocol. Protocol is about to drown. Do it. Webb and Reese moved fast, rigging Parker and Henderson together. The winch cable came down and Maya personally checked every connection. Her hands were so numb she could barely feel the metal, but the connections held. Send them. The 2 SEALs rose into the storm. The deck tilted further. Water was at Maya's chest now, so cold it felt like knives. Last 2, Webb said, his lips blue. Cole and Wilson. They worked together, moving through water that fought every step. Cole was semi-conscious, moaning. Wilson was limp, unresponsive. Maya checked his pulse. Faint. Thread. Dying. The winch cable descended one last time. Doc, you need to go up with them, Reese said. You're hypothermic too. I can see it. I go last. That's how this works. That's how you die. Then I die. Strap them in. Webb grabbed her arm, his grip iron despite the cold. Ma'am, with respect, if you die, who tells their families what happened here? Who testifies when Bradford tries to destroy you? Who trains the next generation of combat medics? Maya stared at him. His face was gray with cold, but his eyes were clear. You're a lousy convincer, Lieutenant. I know, but I'm right. She helped them secure Cole and Wilson. The deck was almost vertical now. The water was at their necks. All of us, Maya said. We all go together or we all stay. That's not... Those are my terms. Take it or watch me swim back to Chicago. Reese swore viciously, but he was already clipping himself to the cable. Webb did the same. Maya grabbed on last, her arms barely able to hold her own weight. Send us up, Reese shouted into his radio. The winch engaged. They rose out of the drowning helicopter, 4 bodies clinging to a cable over black water. Below them, the Black Hawk gave one final groan and slipped beneath the surface. Maya's legs dangled in empty air. Her hands were locked on the cable, but she couldn't feel them anymore. Couldn't feel anything except the cold that had sunk into her bones. Webb was saying something, but the words were muffled. The world was going gray at the edges. Then hands were grabbing her, pulling her into the helicopter. Warm air hit her face like a slap. Someone was wrapping her in blankets, forcing hot liquid between her lips. "Torres?" she managed to say. "Alive. They're all alive because of you." "Martinez? Heart rhythms stable. You saved him." "Johnson? Breathing on his own. You saved him too." Maya's eyes closed. The last thing she heard before the darkness took her was Webb's voice, quiet and certain. 8 for 8, Doc. You brought them all home." When Maya opened her eyes, she was in a hospital bed. Not Chicago Memorial, somewhere else. Military facility by the look of the equipment. A woman stood at the foot of her bed, late 50s, admiral stars on her collar, eyes that had seen 1,000 situations just like this. "Dr. Chen, I'm Admiral Patricia Navarro. Welcome back." Maya tried to sit up. Her body refused to cooperate. "Easy. You had moderate hypothermia. You're lucky you didn't lose fingers." Navarro moved closer. "You saved 8 of my people tonight, against impossible odds, using techniques that officially don't exist anymore. Are they all stable? Torres is in surgery now, but the prognosis is good. Martinez's labs are improving. Johnson's cardiac function is normal. You did the impossible." Maya's throat was dry. "How long was I out?" 6 hours. Long enough for the news to break. You're famous, doctor. Also, you're in significant legal trouble." Bradford. Dr. Robert Bradford has filed formal charges. Theft, practicing without a license, unauthorized use of military resources. The hospital board is supporting his claims. Navarro paused. "They're also claiming you stole proprietary medical techniques that belong to Chicago Memorial." "That's insane. I learned those techniques in Ghost Protocol. We know. The problem is Ghost Protocol is classified. You can't defend yourself without revealing classified information. And if you do that, you'll face federal charges on top of Bradford's civil suit." Maya stared at the ceiling. Of course it would come to this. "So what happens now?" "Now you have a choice." Navarro pulled up a chair. "Option 1, you accept a plea deal. Chicago Memorial drops most charges in exchange for you signing an NDA, surrendering your medical license, and never speaking publicly about tonight. And option 2? Option 2 is I offer you a position. Come back to military medicine. Delta Force is rebuilding their combat surgical program. They want you to lead it. Full reinstatement, back pay, and legal protection from civilian prosecution. You're asking me to disappear into the military again. I'm asking you to do what you do best, where you can do it without bureaucrats second-guessing every decision." Maya closed her eyes. Behind her eyelids, she saw Torres's face, Martinez fighting to stay conscious, Johnson gasping for air. 8 men who were alive because she'd refused to let protocol matter more than people. "There's a third option," she said quietly. "I'm listening. I fight, publicly. I make Bradford and Chicago Memorial explain in open court why saving lives is grounds for termination. I force the medical establishment to choose between protecting their liability and protecting their patients." Navarro's expression didn't change. "That's a war you'll lose." "Maybe, but at least I'll fight it on my terms. The legal fees alone will destroy you. Then I'll be destroyed, but I won't be silent." Maya opened her eyes. Those 8 SEALs have families who deserve to know what happened tonight. Medical students deserve to learn the techniques that saved them. And the next doctor who has to choose between protocol and a patient's life deserves to know they're not alone. Navarro stood slowly. "You're either the bravest person I've ever met or the most foolish. Can't I be both?" For the first time, the Admiral smiled. "You know what? I think you might actually win." "I don't need to win. I just need to fight." "Then fight you shall, Dr. Chen." Navarro headed for the door, then paused. "For what it's worth, Ghost Protocol lives because of people like you. Don't let them take that away." She left. Maya was alone with the machines beeping steadily, monitoring a body that had saved 8 lives, and might have destroyed her own in the process. Her phone buzzed. She picked it up with stiff fingers. A text from an unknown number. "This is Lieutenant Marcus Webb. Torres is awake. He asked for you. Said he wants you to meet his daughter when she visits tomorrow. Thought you should know you're already invited to the wedding too. All 8 of us will be there. We don't forget our debts." Maya set the phone down and let herself cry for the first time in 6 years. The tears dried on Maya's face before the nurse came to check vitals. She wiped them away with the back of her hand, the one that didn't have an IV stuck in it, and forced herself to breathe normally. Crying was a luxury she couldn't afford. Not now. Not when Bradford was probably already drafting press releases about the rogue doctor who endangered military personnel. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was a news alert. Terminated doctor performs unauthorized surgery on Navy SEALs. Hospital board demands investigation. Maya read the article with growing numbness. They'd gotten ahead of the story. Bradford's quotes were prominent, his voice dripping with concern for patient safety and proper medical protocols. Chicago Memorial's CEO backed him completely. The narrative was already set. Maya Chen was dangerous, reckless, a liability who put her ego above proper care. There was no mention that all 8 SEALs had survived. The door opened. A man in his 40s walked in, wearing scrubs but carrying himself like military. His name tag read, Dr. James Reeves, Commander, Medical Corps. "Dr. Chen, I'm the attending physician here. How are you feeling?" "Like I swam through ice water and performed field surgery on a sinking helicopter." "That's accurate." He checked her chart. "Your core temp is back to normal. No frostbite. You were lucky." "The SEALs were lucky. I was just there." Reeves set the chart down and looked at her directly. "I read the field reports. What you did out there, that wasn't luck. That was skill most surgeons don't have, even in perfect conditions." "Is there a point to this conversation, Commander?" "The point is that Torres would be dead without you. Martinez too, probably Johnson. Your damage control on Torres's spleen was textbook ghost protocol. Better than textbook, actually. You improvised techniques that aren't even in the classified manuals." Maya's jaw tightened. "I thought ghost protocol didn't exist." "Officially, it doesn't. Unofficially, I was part of the review committee that shut it down 6 years ago. We decided the techniques were too dangerous to teach, too risky to perform, too likely to result in lawsuits if they went wrong." He paused. "We were wrong." "You're telling me this why?" "Because in 3 hours, you're getting discharged. And when you walk out of here, you're going to face a media circus. Bradford's already scheduled a press conference. He's bringing the hospital's legal team, the medical board, and a dozen physicians who'll testify that your actions were criminally negligent. All 8 survived. Doesn't matter to them. They'll argue you got lucky, that the techniques you used were experimental, unauthorized, dangerous. They'll say you could have killed those men." Maya laughed bitterly. "Instead of letting them drown?" "Logic isn't their weapon. Fear is." Reeves moved closer. "They're going to destroy you, Dr. Chen, not because you failed, because you succeeded in ways that make them look obsolete. So what do you suggest? Run? Hide? Let them win?" "I suggest you get a lawyer, a good one. And I suggest you prepare for the fight of your life." He pulled out a business card. "This is Captain Sarah Mitchell, JAG attorney. She specializes in cases where military and civilian law intersect. She also happens to think Ghost Protocol should never have been shut down." Maya took the card. "Why are you helping me?" "Because 6 years ago, I voted to end a program that could have saved thousands of lives. I've regretted it every day since. This is my chance to make that right." After he left, Maya stared at the card. Captain Sarah Mitchell, Judge Advocate General's Corps. A phone number, an email address, and a handwritten note on the back. "They can't win if you don't let them. Call me." Maya called. The phone rang twice before a crisp female voice answered. "Mitchell." Captain Mitchell, this is Dr. Maya Chen. Commander Reeves gave me your number. I've been waiting for your call. How fast can you get to Chicago? I'm being discharged in 3 hours. Perfect. Bradford's press conference is at 6 p.m. We're going to crash it. What? He's controlling the narrative. We take it back. Tonight, are you in or out? Maya's hands were steady again. I'm in. Good. Don't talk to any reporters before then. Don't post anything on social media. Don't even call your mother. We do this clean and we do it surgical. Understood? Understood. See you at 6, doctor. And Maya, what you did last night, that's what medicine is supposed to look like. Let's remind everyone. The line went dead. Maya sat in the hospital bed, her mind already racing. 3 hours to get to Chicago. 3 hours to prepare for a fight that could end her career permanently or save it. Her phone rang. Mom. Maya answered. Hi, Ma. Maya Chen, why am I seeing your face on the news? Her mother's voice was sharp, worried, furious all at once. They're saying you stole medical supplies. They're saying you performed illegal surgery. What's happening? It's complicated. Complicated? Your father and I are watching a man call you a criminal on television. Uncomplicated. Maya closed her eyes. I saved 8 men last night. The hospital fired me for it. Now they're trying to make sure I never practice medicine again. Silence on the line. Then, did those men live? Yes. All of them? All of them. Another pause. Then you fight, Maya. You hear me? Your grandmother didn't escape China so her granddaughter could bow to bullies. You fight and you win. Ma, I might lose my medical license. I might go to prison. Then you lose from the front, not the back. You fight with honor. That's all that matters. The call ended. Maya felt something shift in her chest. Fear was still there, but it had company now. Anger, determination, and something she hadn't felt in 6 years, the absolute certainty that she was doing the right thing. A knock on the door. Webb walked in, out of uniform now, wearing jeans and a navy sweatshirt. His arm was in a sling, but he was grinning. Heard you were awake. Thought I'd give you an update before the brass gets here. How are they? Torres is out of surgery. They saved his spleen. Doctor said if you hadn't packed it exactly the way you did, he would have bled out before the helicopter even took off. His wife is here. She wants to meet you. Maya's throat tightened. I don't think that's a good idea right now. Why not? Because I'm about to become radioactive. Anyone associated with me is going to get burned. Webb sat down in the visitor's chair, wincing as his injured shoulder protested. You think we care about that? Doc, you saved our lives. Torres, Martinez, Johnson, all of us. You think we're going to abandon you because some hospital administrator is scared of being sued? You don't understand. This is going to get ugly. Good, we're SEALs. Ugly is our specialty. He leaned forward. The team wants to testify, all 8 of us. We want to tell everyone what you did out there. That'll hurt your careers. Our careers don't mean anything if we're dead, which we would be without you. He pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. Torres in a hospital bed, pale but smiling, holding his infant daughter. Elena met her daddy this morning. That doesn't happen if you follow protocol. Maya stared at the photo. The baby was tiny, wrapped in a pink blanket, her eyes closed. Torres's hand cradled her head with infinite gentleness. Webb, if you testify, they'll go after you. They'll question your judgment. They'll make you look like you're just grateful and not thinking clearly. Let them try. I've been shot at by people a lot scarier than hospital lawyers. He stood up. 6 p.m., right? Bradford's press conference? How did you? Captain Mitchell called me, said you might need backup. Team's already on the way to Chicago. We'll be there. You don't have to do this. Yeah, we do. Because this isn't about you anymore, Doc. It's about every patient who needs a doctor willing to break rules to save their life. It's about making sure the next Maya Chen doesn't get fired for being brilliant. He headed for the door. See you at 6. 3 hours later, Maya walked out of the military hospital in borrowed clothes, black pants, white shirt, a jacket that didn't quite fit. Her own scrubs were in an evidence bag somewhere, tagged for the investigation. Captain Mitchell met her at the entrance, a woman in her 50s with steel gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. Dr. Chen, we have 40 minutes to get to the press conference. Are you ready? No. Perfect. The best fighters never are. Mitchell handed her a folder. This is everything we have on Bradford. His disciplinary record, patient complaints, 3 malpractice cases that were settled quietly. He's not the hero he pretends to be. Maya flipped through the folder. How did you get this? I'm very good at my job. Here's the strategy. Bradford will paint you as reckless. We paint him as negligent. He'll say you violated protocol. We'll show the protocols are outdated. He'll question your judgment. We'll question why a hospital fires doctors for saving lives. This is going to get personal. It already is personal. He made it personal when he threw that termination letter at you. Mitchell's eyes were hard. You ready to fight dirty? I'm ready to fight honest. Even better. They arrived at Chicago Memorial with 10 minutes to spare. The press conference was being held in the main auditorium, already packed with reporters, cameras everywhere. Bradford stood at the podium, flanked by the hospital CEO and legal team. He was mid-sentence when Maya walked in. And while we all appreciate Dr. Chen's intentions, the fact remains that she performed procedures without authorization, using techniques that are not approved by. Techniques that saved 8 lives, Maya said loudly. Every head turned. Cameras swiveled. Bradford's face went white, then red. Dr. Chen, you're not authorized to be here. This is a private press conference with 40 media outlets? That's not private, Bradford. That's theater. Maya walked down the aisle, Mitchell beside her. And if we're going to perform, let's make sure we tell the whole story. The CEO stepped forward. Security, please escort Dr. Chen. Touch her and we'll add assault to the lawsuit, Mitchell said calmly. I'm Captain Sarah Mitchell, JAG Corps. Dr. Chen is my client and she has every right to address the charges being made against her in this very public forum. Bradford recovered quickly. Fine, let her speak. Let everyone hear how she endangers patients by ignoring established medical protocols. Maya reached the front. She didn't go to the podium. She stood in front of it, facing the cameras directly. My name is Dr. Maya Chen. Last night I was fired from this hospital for saving a 17-year-old gunshot victim using techniques Dr. Bradford deemed too risky. 4 hours later, I was asked to save 8 Navy SEALs drowning in Lake Michigan. I used the same techniques. All 8 survived. The room erupted with questions. Maya raised her hand. I'm not finished. Dr. Bradford and this hospital claim I'm dangerous because I don't follow protocol. Here's what they won't tell you. Protocols are written for normal situations. When a teenager is bleeding out on your table and you have 90 seconds to save him, normal doesn't exist. When 8 men are in freezing water with minutes to live, protocol becomes a death sentence. You had no right, Bradford started. I had every right. I'm a doctor. My oath is to save lives, not to protect hospital administrators from lawsuits. Maya turned to face him directly. You want to talk about authorization? Fine. Show everyone the video from yesterday. The teenager in Trauma Bay 3. Show them how long you waited to act. Show them how close that kid came to dying while you debated which procedure had the best legal coverage. Bradford's face went purple. That video is confidential, patient. I'm waiving confidentiality, a voice called from the back. Everyone turned. A young black man in a wheelchair was being pushed down the aisle by his mother. His chest was wrapped in bandages. His face was defiant. I'm Marcus Johnson. I'm the kid Dr. Chen saved. And I'm saying, show the video. Show everyone what happened. The CEO looked panicked. Young man, you're not in a position to make that decision. He's 18. Mitchell interjected. He absolutely is. And if you refuse to show that video, we'll subpoena it. Along with every other case where Dr. Chen's techniques resulted in successful outcomes that contradicted attending physician recommendations. Maya watched Marcus wheel himself to the front. His mother stood behind him, her hand on his shoulder, her eyes fierce. "Tell them," Marcus said to Maya. "Tell them what happened." Maya took a breath. Marcus came in with a penetrating chest wound. Gunshot. The bullet had nicked his pulmonary artery. Dr. Bradford wanted to prep him for OR, which would have taken 30 minutes. I performed a field thoracostomy and vascular clamp at bedside. Time elapsed, 90 seconds. Blood loss, minimal. Outcome, Marcus is alive. She had no right to make that call, Bradford snapped. I'm the attending physician. You froze, Marcus said quietly. I remember. I was dying and you froze. The silence in the room was absolute. Marcus looked at the cameras. Dr. Chen didn't ask permission to save my life. She just did it. And when they fired her for it, she didn't stop being a doctor. She got on a helicopter in a blizzard and saved 8 more people. That's not reckless. That's heroic. Bradford tried to recover. This young man is traumatized. He doesn't understand the complexities of medical. I understand I'd be dead if Dr. Chen followed your protocols, Marcus shot back. A reporter stood up. Dr. Bradford, can you explain why the hospital terminated Dr. Chen if her actions resulted in successful patient outcomes? It's not about outcomes. It's about process, procedure, proper channels. So you'd prefer dead patients with proper paperwork? Another reporter called out. The press conference was spiraling out of Bradford's control. Maya could see it in his face, the panic creeping in at the edges. Then the auditorium doors opened, and 8 men in Navy dress uniforms walked in. Webb led them, his arm still in a sling, but his bearing military perfect. Torres was in a wheelchair, his wife beside him holding baby Elena. Martinez walked slowly, supported by crutches. Johnson was on oxygen but walking. The others formed up behind them. We're here to testify, Webb announced, all 8 of us, about what Dr. Maya Chen did last night. Bradford's face went from red to ashen. This is inappropriate. This is a circus. No, Torres said, his voice carrying despite his weakness. This is justice. He wheeled himself to the microphone. His wife handed him the baby. Elena was awake now, her dark eyes wide. My name is Petty Officer David Torres. 12 hours ago, I was bleeding to death in a crashed helicopter. Dr. Maya Chen cut me open with a scalpel in freezing water, on a tilting deck, with no anesthesia, and held my spleen together with her bare hands until they could get me to a real operating room. He looked down at his daughter. I'm holding my baby girl right now because Dr. Chen refused to let me die. You want to call that reckless? I call it miraculous. Martinez spoke next, his voice rough. She saved my life by flooding my system with fluids while calculating the exact moment my heart would stop from potassium overload. She was off by 3 seconds. 3 seconds. That's not reckless. That's precision under impossible conditions. Johnson was next. She drained fluid from around my heart with a blade and her fingertips, while waves were literally washing over us. One wrong move and she would have killed me instantly. She didn't make a wrong move. One by one, all 8 SEALs testified, each story more impossible than the last, each outcome successful. Bradford tried to interrupt. These men are grateful, but gratitude doesn't change the fact that Dr. Chen saved us, Webb finished. Yeah, she did. And you fired her for it. What does that say about this hospital? The CEO stepped to the microphone, trying to salvage something. We appreciate the sacrifices these servicemen have made, but the fact remains that Dr. Chen violated hospital policy, used unauthorized techniques, and created significant legal liability. Legal liability, Maya repeated. She laughed, the sound sharp and bitter. You're more worried about lawyers than lives. That's the problem. That's always been the problem. She turned to the cameras. I'm not asking for my job back. I don't want to work for an institution that values protocol over people. But I am demanding that every doctor watching this knows they have a choice. When the moment comes, and it will come, when you're standing between a patient and death, you can follow the rules or you can follow your oath. I chose my oath. I'll choose it every single time. Mitchell stepped forward. Dr. Chen will be filing a wrongful termination suit against Chicago Memorial Hospital. We'll be seeking full reinstatement of her medical license, compensation for damages, and most importantly, we'll be demanding a full review of the medical protocols that prioritize legal protection over patient care. Any hospital that wants to stand with Chicago Memorial in defending the right to fire doctors for saving lives is welcome to join them in court. The room exploded with questions. Maya didn't stay to answer them. She walked out, the 8 SEALs forming a protective circle around her. Behind them, Bradford was shouting something about legal action and professional standards. Outside, the winter air hit her face. Maya breathed it in, deep and clean. Torres rolled up beside her, Elena asleep now in his arms. Thank you, he said simply. You don't need to thank me, just live, that's enough. It's not enough. He handed her something, a small card with a phone number. This is my wife's number. When Elena gets older, when she asks who saved her daddy, I want you to be able to tell her yourself. Maya took the card, her vision blurring. I'd like that. Mitchell appeared, her phone pressed to her ear. She ended the call and turned to Maya. That was the medical board. They want an emergency hearing tomorrow. Bradford's pushing for immediate license suspension. Let him push. We push back harder. They're also subpoenaing your military records, all of them, including the classified ones. Maya's stomach dropped. They can't do that. They can try, which means Ghost Protocol is about to become very public. Mitchell's expression was grim. This is going to get worse before it gets better. Much worse. I know. They're going to dig into your past, Afghanistan, the reasons you left, everything you've tried to keep buried. Let them dig. Maya looked at the 8 men who'd stood beside her, at Marcus in his wheelchair, at Torres holding his daughter. I've got nothing left to hide and nothing left to lose. Mitchell almost smiled. That's when you're most dangerous, Dr. Chen, when you've got nothing to lose. Maya's phone buzzed. Another news alert. Breaking. Navy SEALs defend fired doctor. Medical board calls emergency hearing. The war had begun, and Maya wasn't running anymore. The medical board hearing room was smaller than Maya expected. 10 chairs arranged in a semicircle, fluorescent lights that made everyone look sick, and windows that faced a brick wall. The board members filed in at exactly 9 a.m., their faces professionally neutral in that way that meant they'd already made their decision. Maya sat at a single table facing them, Mitchell on her right, a court reporter on her left. Behind her, the 8 SEALs filled the gallery seats, still in uniform. Marcus was there too, his mother beside him. The room smelled like old coffee and newer fear. Dr. Catherine Walsh, board chair, settled into the center seat. She was 60, gray hair pulled back tight, glasses on a chain around her neck. Maya had met her once at a conference. Walsh had seemed reasonable then. That was before Maya became a problem. This hearing will come to order, Walsh said. We're here to address the petition filed by Chicago Memorial Hospital requesting immediate suspension of Dr. Maya Chen's medical license, pending full investigation into allegations of unauthorized medical practice, misappropriation of hospital resources, and violation of established medical protocols. Bradford sat in the front row on the opposite side, his legal team flanking him like bodyguards. He caught Maya's eye and smiled, not friendly, victorious. Dr. Chen, Walsh continued, you've been accused of performing multiple procedures without proper authorization. How do you respond? Mitchell stood. The defense will show that Dr. Chen acted within the scope of her medical training and oath, that her actions resulted in zero patient mortality, and that the real issue here is a hospital attempting to punish a physician for being more competent than her supervising doctor. Bradford's lawyer jumped up. Objection! This is a hearing, not a trial. Personal attacks on Dr. Bradford are factual observations based on documented evidence, Mitchell shot back, which we're happy to present. Walsh raised her hand. Both of you sit down. This is my hearing and we'll run it professionally. She looked at Maya. Dr. Chen, I'm going to ask you directly. Did you perform a finger thoracostomy and emergency vascular clamp on Marcus Johnson without Dr. Bradford's approval? Yes. Did you know this violated hospital protocol? Yes. Then why did you do it? Maya stood slowly. Because Marcus Johnson would be dead if I hadn't. Dr. Bradford wanted to prep for OR. That would have taken 30 minutes. Marcus had maybe 5 minutes of viable blood volume left. I made a choice between protocol and life. I chose life. One of the board members, Dr. Richard Soto, leaned forward. Dr. Chen, we all sympathize with your intentions, but medicine is built on protocols for a reason. If every doctor just did whatever they thought was best, then we'd have fewer dead patients, Maya interrupted. With respect, Dr. Soto, protocols are tools. They're not scripture. When they fail, we adapt. You don't get to decide when they fail, Bradford said from his seat. That's not your call. Maya turned to face him. Then whose call is it? Yours? You froze, Bradford. I was there. I watched you stand over that kid, calculating legal liability while he bled out. That's a lie. It's on video. Show them the video. Bradford's lawyer stood again. The video is confidential patient. I waive confidentiality, Marcus called out. Show it. Walsh looked uncomfortable. Young man, this isn't... I'm the patient. It's my medical record. I want them to see what happened. Marcus's voice was stronger than his body. I want everyone to see. Mitchell pulled out a laptop. We have a copy, provided by the patient with full legal authorization. May I? Walsh hesitated, then nodded. The video played on a screen wheeled in by the court reporter. The timestamp read 2:47 p.m., the day before Maya was fired. Marcus on the table, blood everywhere, monitors screaming. Bradford standing there, phone in hand, calling for OR prep. Maya's voice off screen. We don't have time for OR. Bradford's response. We follow protocol, Chen. That's non-negotiable. Then Maya moving into frame, her hands already gloved. The thoracostomy incision, precise and fast. The vascular clamp placement, 90 seconds. Marcus's vitals stabilizing. Bradford's face going from angry to shocked to something that looked like shame. The video ended. The room was silent. Walsh removed her glasses. Dr. Bradford, do you maintain that Dr. Chen's actions were medically inappropriate? She violated protocol, he said, but his voice had lost its certainty. The patient survived with minimal blood loss and no complications, Walsh said. If she had followed your directive to wait for OR, what would the likely outcome have been? Bradford's jaw worked. That's speculative. Answer the question, doctor. The patient would likely have experienced significant blood loss, possibly resulting in hypovolemic shock, possibly resulting in... He trailed off. Death, Maya finished. Just say it, Bradford. If I'd followed your protocol, Marcus would have died. That's not speculation. That's medical fact. Soto spoke up. Dr. Chen, even if we accept your justification for the Johnson case, there's still the matter of the Navy SEAL rescue. You performed multiple procedures using techniques that aren't approved by any civilian medical board. Techniques that are classified military procedures. How do you explain that? Here it was, the moment she'd been dreading. I was trained in those techniques during my military service, Maya said carefully. What branch? Army, Medical Corps. Doing what, exactly? Mitchell stood. Dr. Chen's military service record is classified. She's not at liberty to discuss. Then we'll subpoena it, Bradford's lawyer said. The board has the right to review any training relevant to the charges. Military classification supersedes state medical board authority, Mitchell countered. Walsh looked at Maya. Dr. Chen, without revealing classified information, can you tell us why your military record is sealed? Maya's hands were shaking. She pressed them flat on the table. I served in a specialized medical unit that operated in combat zones. The techniques I used on the SEALs were developed for field conditions where traditional medical resources aren't available. They're classified because they were created for situations the military doesn't publicly acknowledge. Ghost protocol, Soto said quietly. The room went cold. Maya's head snapped up. How do you know that name? Soto pulled out a folder. Because I was copied on a DoD communication this morning. They're declassifying Ghost Protocol. Effective immediately. Mitchell's face went white. They can't do that without... They already did. It came through at 7 a.m. Soto opened the folder. Says here that Ghost Protocol was a Delta Force medical program designed to provide advanced surgical care in denied areas. Combat surgeons were trained in high-risk procedures that could be performed with minimal equipment. The program was discontinued in 2019 after, he paused, reading, after an incident in Afghanistan where a surgeon violated direct orders to save an enemy combatant, compromising operational security. Maya felt the floor drop out from under her. That surgeon was you, Bradford said. He was standing now, holding his own copy of the file. You saved a Taliban fighter instead of letting him die. You chose the enemy over your mission. I chose a patient over politics, Maya said, her voice shaking with rage. He was 19 years old, bleeding out. I could save him or watch him die. I saved him. And compromised an entire operation, Bradford pressed. Says here your team was forced to evacuate early. Intelligence was lost. 2 soldiers were injured in the extraction. All because you couldn't follow orders. Webb stood up in the gallery. That's not the whole story. Lieutenant, sit down, Walsh ordered. This isn't your hearing. It should be, because that file is bullshit. Webb stayed standing. I made some calls last night. Found someone who was there. The enemy combatant Dr. Chen saved? He was a kid who'd been forced to fight by the Taliban. They'd killed his family and told him they'd kill his sisters if he didn't plant IEDs. He was trying to surrender when he got shot by friendly fire. Our fire. The room erupted. Walsh banged her gavel. Order, I will have order. Webb continued, his voice cutting through the noise. The compromised operation? That was already blown. The Taliban knew we were there. We were extracting anyway. The intelligence we lost was garbage. But the brass needed someone to blame for a failed mission. So they blamed Dr. Chen. They labeled her insubordinate, shut down Ghost Protocol, and buried her career. All to cover up their own failure. Bradford's lawyer was on his feet. This is hearsay, unsubstantiated claims. I have written testimony from 3 officers who were there, Mitchell said, pulling out documents, all confirming Lieutenant Webb's account, all stating that Dr. Chen's actions saved a civilian who was being used as a child soldier, all stating that the mission was already compromised before she made her decision. Walsh looked at the documents, then at Maya. Is this true? Maya's throat was tight. Yes. Then why does the official record say otherwise? Because the truth was inconvenient. We weren't supposed to be in that village. The mission wasn't authorized. When it went sideways, they needed a scapegoat. I made it easy by refusing to let a kid die. So they destroyed your military career, Walsh said quietly. They gave me an honorable discharge and classified everything. I became a civilian doctor, started over, tried to forget. Maya looked at Bradford. But some people never let you forget that you're supposed to follow orders instead of your conscience. Bradford stood frozen, his victory turning to ash in his hands. Soto spoke again. Dr. Chen, these ghost protocol techniques you used on the SEALs, are they dangerous? Yes. Could they have killed those men? Yes. But they didn't. No. Because you're that good? Maya shook her head. Because I was trained by the best combat surgeons in the world, and I've used those techniques in worse conditions than Lake Michigan. Danger isn't the same as recklessness. Every surgery is dangerous. Every decision carries risk. The question is whether the risk is justified. And you believe it was? 8 men are alive. Ask them if it was justified. Torres stood up, Elena in his arms. I'll answer that. I was bleeding to death. My spleen was torn. Dr. Chen cut me open on a tilting helicopter in freezing water and held my organs together with her bare hands. Was it dangerous? Hell yes. Was it justified? I'm holding my daughter, you tell me. Martinez stood next, leaning on his crutches. She flooded my system with fluids while my crushed legs were dumping toxins into my bloodstream. One calculation wrong, and my heart stops. She got it right. Was it justified? I'm walking, you tell me. One by one, all 8 SEALs stood, each one telling their story, each one alive because Maya had refused to follow rules that would have killed them. When they finished, the room was silent again. Walsh looked at her fellow board members. They had a whispered conference. Then she turned back to Maya. Dr. Chen, this board has a decision to make. On one hand, you violated hospital protocol, used unauthorized techniques, and acted without proper supervision. On the other hand, you saved 9 lives in 48 hours, using extraordinary skill under impossible conditions. The question before us is whether medicine is better served by punishing excellence or encouraging it. Bradford spoke up, desperation creeping into his voice. She can't just ignore the rules whenever she wants. If we allow this, what? Walsh interrupted. Doctors might actually put patients first? What a terrifying thought. She looked at Bradford. I've been reviewing your record, doctor. In the last 5 years, you've been named in 3 malpractice suits, all settled quietly, all involving cases where you delayed treatment to consult legal counsel. Dr. Chen has 0 malpractice claims, 0 patient complaints, and a success rate in critical cases that's frankly astonishing. That doesn't give her the right. It gives her exactly the right, Walsh said sharply. The right we gave her when she took the Hippocratic Oath. First, do no harm. She's done no harm. You, on the other hand, have a pattern of choosing legal protection over patient care. Bradford's face went purple. This is a witch hunt. No, Dr. Bradford, this is accountability, something you've avoided for years. Walsh turned to Maya. Dr. Chen, this board finds no grounds for license suspension. Your actions, while unconventional, were medically appropriate given the circumstances. However, we are recommending that you undergo a formal review of your techniques with the goal of potentially incorporating them into emergency medical protocols. Maya's legs nearly gave out. You're not suspending my license? We're not. Furthermore, we're requesting that you work with this board to develop training programs based on ghost protocol techniques. If these methods can save lives, other doctors should learn them. Bradford exploded. This is insane. You can't reward her for breaking every rule. We're not rewarding rule breaking, Soto said. We're recognizing excellence. There's a difference. Bradford's lawyer tried one more time. Chicago Memorial will appeal this decision. We'll take it to the state board, the AMA, federal court if necessary. Do that, Mitchell said calmly, and we'll countersue for wrongful termination, defamation, and harassment. We'll subpoena every malpractice settlement, every patient complaint, every instance where Dr. Bradford chose legal safety over patient care. We'll make Chicago Memorial's liability concerns look microscopic compared to the damage we'll do in discovery. The threat hung in the air. Bradford's lawyer whispered furiously in his ear. Bradford shook his head, but his fight was gone. He could see the trap closing around him. Walsh banged her gavel. This hearing is adjourned. Dr. Chen, you're free to practice medicine. I suggest you find a hospital that deserves you. Maya sat down hard. Her hands were shaking again, but this time from relief, not fear. Mitchell gripped her shoulder. You won, Mitchell said quietly. We won, Maya corrected. Behind them, the SEALs were cheering. Marcus wheeled over, his mother pushing him, both of them crying and laughing. Torres handed Maya his daughter. Hold her, he said. You should hold the life you saved. Maya took the baby with trembling hands. Elena was warm and solid and real. Her tiny fingers wrapped around Maya's thumb. Hi there, Maya whispered. I'm Maya. I met your daddy on kind of a bad night. Elena yawned, completely unconcerned with the drama surrounding her existence. Bradford pushed past them on his way out, his legal team trailing behind. He stopped at the door and turned back. This isn't over, Chen. You think you're untouchable now, but you're not. One mistake, one patient dies because of your cowboy medicine, and I'll be there. I hope you are, Maya said, still holding Elena, because you might actually learn something. He left. The door slammed behind him. Webb appeared at Maya's side. Doc, we need to talk. About what happens next. What do you mean? You just became the most famous doctor in America. Every news outlet wants an interview. Medical schools want you to lecture. The Navy wants you back. He paused. And there are people, dangerous people, who are very interested in Ghost Protocol now that it's been declassified. Maya's stomach tightened. What kind of people? The kind who see combat medical techniques as valuable intellectual property. The kind who would pay a lot of money to learn procedures that can save lives in places where hospitals don't exist. The kind who don't care if those techniques end up in the wrong hands. Mitchell's expression went grim. He's right. Declassification opened Pandora's box. Ghost Protocol was kept secret for a reason. Now that it's public, you're going to have everyone from legitimate medical organizations to war criminals trying to get access to that knowledge. What am I supposed to do? Stop teaching? Let those techniques die with me? No, Walsh said. She'd approach quietly, her board colleagues behind her. You teach them properly, under controlled conditions, to doctors who will use them to save lives, not end them. That's why we're offering you a position. What kind of position? Director of Advanced Emergency Medicine at Northwestern Memorial. You'd develop curriculum, train residents, and establish protocols for high-risk procedures. You'd have full authority to determine who learns what and under what conditions. Walsh's eyes were serious. You'd also have legal protection and institutional support. So when the vultures come circling, and they will, you won't be standing alone. Maya looked down at Elena, still sleeping peacefully in her arms. This morning she thought her career was over. Now she was being offered a chance to change how emergency medicine was taught across the country. I need to think about it, she said. Take 24 hours, Walsh replied. But Maya, the world just saw what you can do. That spotlight doesn't turn off. You're going to need allies. After they left, Maya sat in the empty hearing room with the baby in her arms and 8 SEALs watching her back. Outside, reporters were gathering. Her phone had 247 missed calls. The internet was exploding with think pieces about protocol versus innovation, military medicine versus civilian care, obeying orders versus saving lives. Her entire life had changed in 48 hours. Torres sat down beside her. You okay? I don't know what I am. You're a hero, that's what you are. Heroes don't get fired. Heroes get tested. You passed. He held out his hands for Elena. Question is, what do you do next? Maya handed the baby back. I guess I figure out how to live up to the hype. Or, Webb said, you stop trying to live up to anything and just keep being exactly who you are. The doctor who doesn't let people die because it's inconvenient. Marcus wheeled over. Dr. Chen, there are people outside. A lot of people. Some of them are reporters, but some of them are just people. They want to meet you. Why? Because you give them hope. Hope that when they're dying, someone will fight for them instead of checking the rulebook first. Maya stood up slowly. Her body ached from hypothermia and stress and 48 hours of running on adrenaline. But her hands were steady. "All right," she said. "Let's go meet them." They walked out together, Maya, Mitchell, the SEALs, Marcus, and his mother. The hallway was packed. Reporters, yes, but also patients, nurses, medical students. People who'd heard the story and come to see if it was real. A young woman in scrubs pushed through the crowd. "Dr. Chen? I'm Emily Ross, third-year resident at County. I just wanted to say thank you." "For what?" "For showing us it's okay to be brave. For showing us that medicine is supposed to be about saving people, not protecting institutions." Emily's eyes were bright with unshed tears. "I've been too scared to speak up when I see things going wrong." "Not anymore." More people pressed forward. An elderly man whose granddaughter had been saved by a doctor who broke protocol to get her emergency surgery. A paramedic who'd been written up for going against standard procedure to revive a patient. A nurse who'd been fired for questioning a doctor's negligence. All of them thanking Maya for fighting. All of them seeing her as proof that the system could be challenged. She hadn't meant to start a movement. She just wanted to save lives. But sometimes that's all it takes. Maya was still shaking hands with strangers when her phone rang. She almost ignored it. There were too many faces, too many stories, too many people who needed to believe that someone would fight for them. But the ringtone was different. Emergency frequency. She answered. "Chen. Dr. Chen, this is Dr. Elizabeth Park, Chief of Emergency Medicine at Northwestern Memorial. I know you said you needed 24 hours, but we have a situation. Multiple vehicle collision on the Dan Ryan. 23 casualties incoming. Half our trauma team is out with flu. We need you, now." Maya looked at the crowd pressing around her, at the reporters with cameras, at Bradford lurking at the edge, waiting for her to fail, at the 8 SEALs who'd risked everything to defend her. "I'm not on your staff," she said. "You are as of 30 seconds ago. I'm texting you credentials, emergency privileges, full authority." The patients start arriving in 12 minutes. Park's voice was steady but urgent. "Dr. Chen, I wouldn't ask if we had any other option, but we don't, and people are dying." Maya ended the call, looked at Mitchell. "I have to go. You just won your hearing. You should rest, prepare for interviews. Let the dust settle. People are dying." Mitchell smiled, tired and proud. "Then go save them. I'll handle the reporters." Webb stepped forward. "We're coming with you." "You're injured. All of you need—" "We're coming," Torres said, still holding Elena. His wife nodded, took the baby. "Rebecca will take her home. I'm going." Maya didn't have time to argue. She ran for the exit, the SEALs falling in behind her like a tactical unit. Outside, a Northwestern Memorial ambulance was waiting, lights already flashing. The driver threw open the door. "Dr. Chen, hop in. We'll have you there in 8 minutes." They piled in. The ambulance took off, sirens screaming. Maya's phone buzzed with the credentials. Temporary emergency privileges, good for 72 hours. Long enough to prove herself or destroy what was left of her career. Webb was checking his phone. "News is already reporting you're heading to Northwestern. Social media's going crazy. You're trending worldwide." "I don't care about trending. I care about the 23 people who are about to bleed out if we're not ready." The ambulance radio crackled. "All units be advised. Collision involved a semi-truck carrying industrial chemicals. Potential toxic exposure. Hazmat is en route, but victims are presenting with respiratory distress and chemical burns." Maya's brain shifted into combat mode. "How many ambulances?" 6 confirmed, 3 more possible. "Then we're looking at mass casualty protocol. We'll need to triage fast and brutal. Save who we can, make the hard calls on who we can't." The ambulance screeched to a stop at Northwestern's emergency entrance. Maya jumped out before it fully stopped. The ER was already chaos. Staff running, gurneys being wheeled into position, someone shouting about ventilator availability. Dr. Park met her at the door. She was Maya's age, Korean American, with steady hands and eyes that had seen too many impossible nights. Dr. Chen, thank God, I need you on triage. Sort them as they come in. Red, yellow, green. Anyone whose black tag goes to the comfort area. We don't have resources to waste on. I know the protocol. Maya was already moving toward the ambulance bay. Who's your best trauma surgeon? Dr. Kim. He's prepping OR now. Get him down here. We'll need to operate in the ER. Some of these won't survive transport upstairs. Park didn't hesitate. Done. What else? Clear the waiting room. We're going to need every bed, every chair, every flat surface. And get me a resident who doesn't panic under pressure. A young woman appeared, dark hair pulled back, scrubs already stained. I'm Dr. Sarah Martinez, first-year trauma surgery. I don't panic. Prove it. You're with me. The first ambulance backed in. The doors opened and Maya saw hell. A man in his 50s, chest crushed, breathing in wet gasps. Chemical burns across his face and arms. The paramedic doing compressions looked exhausted. Steering column went through his chest when the semi hit. He's been down twice. We got him back, but he's circling. Maya checked his pupils. One blown, one responsive. Tension pneumo with probable cardiac tamponade. Get him to trauma 1. Now. The second ambulance brought a young woman, maybe 25, conscious but in shock. Her leg was mangled, bone visible through shredded tissue. Compound femur fracture with arterial compromise, Maya said. Yellow tag. Trauma 3. Get vascular surgery down here. Third ambulance. 2 children, brother and sister, both with chemical burns and respiratory distress. Maya's hands were already moving, checking airways, listening to breath sounds. Both need intubation. Possible inhalation injury. Red tags. Trauma 2 and 4. Martinez was keeping up, writing tags, directing traffic. Her hands shook slightly, but her voice stayed steady. Fourth ambulance brought the driver of the semi. His face was gray, his breathing shallow. Maya checked his abdomen, rigid, distended. Ruptured spleen or liver, possibly both. He's bleeding internally. Red tag, trauma 5. Dr. Chen, one of the nurses, grabbed her arm. We're out of trauma bays. Then make more. Use the procedure rooms. Use the hallways if you have to. No one dies because we ran out of space. Fifth ambulance, 6th, 7th. Bodies kept coming. Maya moved between them like she was conducting an orchestra of trauma, her voice calling out injuries and priorities, her hands checking pulses and pupils and wounds. A man grabbed her sleeve. His face was burned, blistered. My daughter. She was in the car. Did they bring her? What's her name? Emma. Emma Rodriguez. She's 8. She has asthma. She was in the back seat. I'll find her, I promise. But right now I need you to sit down and let us treat your burns. I don't care about my burns. I need my daughter. Maya gripped his shoulders. Listen to me. If you collapse from shock, you can't help her. Sit down. Let us work. The second I find Emma, I'll bring her to you myself. He sat. Maya found Martinez. Did we get a child? 8 years old, asthma, possible smoke inhalation? Trauma 2. She's critical. Dr. Kim is with her now. Maya ran to trauma 2. The little girl was on the table, intubated, her small chest rising and falling with the ventilator. Dr. Kim was listening to her lungs, his face grim. Severe inhalation injury, bronchospasm. Her O2 sats are dropping despite 100% oxygen. We're losing her. Maya moved to the bedside. Did you try bronchodilators? Maximum dose, not working. The chemical exposure is causing massive inflammation. Her airways are swelling shut. Maya's mind raced through options. Standard protocols weren't working. She needed something else. Something from Ghost Protocol. I can try a selective bronchial lavage. Wash out the chemical irritants directly. Kim stared at her. That's not standard care. I've never even heard of. It's a combat technique for chemical exposure in the field. I've done it twice. Both patients survived. If it goes wrong, if we do nothing, she dies in the next 5 minutes. I can see it happening. Maya looked at the monitor. Oxygen saturation, 78%. Dropping. I need your permission. You're the attending. Kim looked at the child, then at Maya. Do it. Maya moved fast. She needed a bronchoscope, sterile saline, and steady hands. The nurses got her the equipment in seconds. She threaded the scope down the breathing tube into Emma's lungs, navigating by feel in the grainy video feed. The airways were angry red, swollen, coated with chemical residue. Starting lavage, Maya said. She flushed the bronchi with saline, washing out the irritants in careful, measured doses. Too much, and she drowned the child. Too little, and the chemicals would keep destroying tissue. Emma's oxygen saturation dipped to 72%. The monitor alarm screamed. Dr. Chen! Martinez's voice was tight with fear. I know. Stay with me. Maya worked deeper, finding pockets of chemical buildup and flushing them clean. It was delicate, dangerous work. One wrong move, and she could perforate a bronchus or trigger a complete airway collapse. The oxygen saturation hit 68%. We're losing her, Kim said. No, we're not. Maya's voice was steel. Watch. She completed the final flush and withdrew the scope. For 3 seconds that lasted forever, nothing changed. Then Emma's oxygen saturation ticked up. 70%, 73%, 76%, 82%. Her lungs started to clear. The inflammation began to recede. Color returned to her lips. My God, Kim breathed. It worked. Maya pulled off her gloves. Get her father. Tell him Emma's going to be okay. She moved to the next patient before Kim could respond. The man with the crushed chest was coding again. Maya ran to his bedside. How long has he been down? 90 seconds, the resident doing compression said. Maya checked the monitor. Asystole, flatline. Stop compressions. What? But, stop, let me see something. She placed her hand on the man's chest, feeling for the telltale bulge of cardiac tamponade. There. His heart was drowning in blood from the chest trauma. I need to do a pericardial window. Right here, right now. Park appeared at her side. Dr. Chen, that's an OR procedure. He'll be dead before we get him to OR. I need a scalpel in 30 seconds. Park hesitated for half a heartbeat. Then she grabbed the instruments. Do it. Maya made the incision below the sternum, cutting through skin and muscle with practiced precision. Blood welled up. She ignored it, going deeper, feeling for the pericardial sac. There. She pierced the membrane and dark blood gushed out, releasing the pressure around the heart. The monitor beeped. Once. Twice. A rhythm returning. We have sinus tach, the resident called out. Pressure's coming up. 60 over 40. 80 over 50. The man gasped, his chest heaving as his heart remembered how to beat. Maya stepped back, her hands bloody. Get him to OR. Repair the cardiac laceration properly. He's got maybe an hour before he bleeds out again. Park was staring at her. You just brought a dead man back to life. He wasn't dead, just really committed to the idea. Maya looked around the ER. Bodies everywhere, staff running, organized chaos. What else do we have? The next 4 hours were a blur. Maya moved from patient to patient, her training and instinct guiding every decision. She saved a teenager with a ruptured spleen using the same packing technique she'd used on Torres. She performed an emergency thoracotomy on a woman with a collapsed lung. She talked a panicking resident through a difficult airway while simultaneously managing a patient in shock. She worked like a machine, precise and tireless. Around midnight, the flow finally slowed. The last ambulance had arrived. The last patient had been stabilized. 23 casualties, 21 survived. 2 died before they reached the hospital. Not perfect, but better than any other hospital in the city could have managed on a night like this. Maya sat down in the break room, her scrubs covered in blood and chemical residue. Her hands were shaking again. Adrenaline crash. Martinez brought her coffee. You saved them, almost all of them. Almost isn't all. Almost is a miracle considering what we were facing. Martinez sat down across from her. I've been a resident for 8 months. I've never seen anything like what you did tonight. The bronchial lavage on the little girl, the pericardial window, the way you triaged 23 critical patients in under an hour. Where did you learn that? In places I can't talk about. Maya sipped the coffee. It was terrible and perfect. How many hours are you into your shift? 18. Go home, sleep. Come back tomorrow ready to learn everything I know. You're staying? Park offered me a job. I think I'm going to take it. Martinez smiled, exhausted and hopeful. Good, we need you. After she left, Maya pulled out her phone. 487 missed calls. She scrolled through them, saw one from her mother. Called back. Maya, are you alive? Barely, but yes. I saw the news. 23 patients. You saved them all? 21. 2 didn't make it. Then you saved 21 who wouldn't have survived without you. That's what matters. Her mother's voice softened. Are you okay, baby? Maya's eyes burned. She was so tired. I think so. I think I'm finally where I'm supposed to be. Then I'm proud of you. Your father would be too. The call ended. Maya sat alone in the break room, listening to the distant sounds of the ER settling into its nighttime rhythm. The door opened. Park walked in, still in bloody scrubs, her hair escaping its ponytail. The man with the crushed chest is out of surgery. They repaired the cardiac laceration. He's stable. The little girl with the chemical burns is breathing on her own. Her father hasn't stopped crying. Park sat down. Dr. Chen, I meant what I said on the phone. I want you here, permanently, not just emergency privileges, full staff position, director of trauma services. You'd run the department your way. My way involves breaking a lot of rules. Your way involves saving lives other doctors give up on. I'll take that over rules any day. Maya looked at her hands, still steady despite everything. What about Chicago Memorial, Bradford, the media circus? Chicago Memorial is yesterday's news. Tomorrow's news is that Northwestern Memorial just hired the best trauma surgeon in the country. We'll handle the politics. You handle the medicine. And when I make the wrong call, when someone dies because I tried something experimental, then we learn from it and do better next time. That's how medicine evolves. Park leaned forward. Maya, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've seen brilliant doctors burn out because the system beats them down. I've seen mediocre doctors thrive because they never take risks. You're brilliant and you take risks when they matter. That's rare. Don't let fear of failure turn you into someone who plays it safe. Maya thought about Torres holding his daughter, about Marcus in his wheelchair, alive because she'd refused to wait, about Emma Rodriguez breathing on her own, about the 8 SEALs who'd stood beside her when everyone else walked away. Okay, she said, I'm in. Park smiled, tired and genuine. Welcome to Northwestern. Try not to give me a heart attack too often. 2 weeks later, Maya stood in front of a lecture hall filled with medical students. The room was packed, standing room only, students sitting in the aisles. They wanted to hear from the doctor who'd become a symbol of everything medicine was supposed to be, and usually wasn't. She didn't have notes, didn't need them. My name is Dr. Maya Chen. 2 weeks ago, I was fired for saving a patient. Yesterday, I was hired to teach you how to do the same thing. Here's what I'm going to tell you, and it's the only lesson that matters. Your oath is to the patient, not to the hospital, not to the attending physician, not to the legal department, to the patient. A hand went up in the back. But what if the protocol says, protocols are tools, not commandments. When they work, use them. When they don't, adapt. Maya walked to the edge of the stage. Let me ask you something. Why did you go to medical school? Silence. Then a young woman in the third row spoke up. To save lives. Exactly, to save lives. Not to fill out forms correctly, not to avoid lawsuits, to save lives. And sometimes saving a life means breaking a rule. Sometimes it means trusting your hands and your training over what the textbook says. Sometimes it means being willing to lose your job for doing the right thing. Another student. But how do we know when to break the rules? You'll know. Your gut will tell you. The patient will tell you. The monitor will tell you when it's too late if you wait too long. The question isn't whether you'll know. It's whether you'll have the courage to act when you do know. She spent the next hour telling them stories. Not the sanitized versions, the real ones. The teenagers she'd saved while Bradford watched. The seals in freezing water. The little girl whose airways she'd washed clean with a technique most doctors had never heard of. The man whose heart she'd restarted in an ER hallway. When she finished, the students stood and applauded. Not polite academic applause. Real, sustained, emotional applause from people who'd just been given permission to be the doctors they dreamed of becoming. Maya's phone buzzed as she left the lecture hall. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Then something made her pick up. Dr. Chen, this is Commander Harrison. We have a situation in Somalia. Hostage rescue went wrong. 4 Rangers down. 2 critical. No combat surgeon available. Can you be wheels up in 90 minutes? Maya stopped walking. She'd promised herself she was done with that world. Done with classified missions and impossible decisions, and coming home with other people's blood under her fingernails. But 4 Rangers were dying, and her hands knew exactly what to do about that. I'll be there in 60, she said. She ended the call and started running toward the parking lot. Behind her, students were still filing out of the lecture hall, talking excitedly about the doctor who'd given them permission to be brave. Ahead of her, a helicopter was already spinning up its rotors on the hospital's rooftop pad. Maya Chen had spent 6 years trying to be someone small and safe. Someone who didn't attract attention or break rules or make powerful people angry. That woman was dead. The woman who took her place was dangerous, brilliant, and absolutely unwilling to let good people die while bureaucrats debated proper procedure. She climbed into the helicopter, her medical kit slung over her shoulder, and the aircraft lifted off into the Chicago night. Somewhere in the world, 4 Rangers were fighting for their lives. They didn't know it yet, but help was coming. And nothing, not protocols, not politics, not the entire weight of institutional medicine, was going to stop her from bringing them home alive.